Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's NMeade here, and welcome back with more world record review, this time for both June and July 2021. June was a quiet month for Mario Kart Wii time trials with 3 new world records set, with activity picking up in July with 8 new world records set. 11 world records to cover across 5 unique tracks for this one. Before we begin, I'd like to direct your attention to a massive Mario Kart project recently published this week. This is a near hour-and-a-half Mario Kart documentary on one of Mario Kart's most elite and accomplished time trialers of all time, MK Dasher. Produced and narrated by Abel, this is the best Mario Kart video ever made. This is truly something special for the entire Mario Kart community. If you all enjoy this video series on my channel for the time trial scene, enjoy Mario Kart and ultimately gaming in general, you must watch this video. I am thankful to Abel for inviting me to contribute to this documentary, and I hope you all enjoy watching it as much as I did. With all that said, let's head into the world record activity for June and July. Starting us off in June, we had a truly massive world record to start off the month. Since March of this year, with the 3x3 Benny strap being implemented and the first 3x3 world records being done on Maple Treeway, there has been steady progress from Justin's old 145.448 2x3 glitch world record back in June of 2020. Almost 3 years after being defeated on Maple Treeway glitch, Demon returns to reclaim the world record. Demon beats the previous world record by almost 3.5 seconds. Demon's new time will be a 1:35.662 set on June 4th. Demon would have his entry into the Maple Treeway world record scene back in September of 2012, when Maple Treeway was first glitched humanly. He fended off several competitors until he had an uncontested reign on Maple Treeway glitch for over a collective 5.5 years. Demon's 157.925 world record of the 1x3 old glitch strategy is one of the most underrated world records in my view. No one else was close to this optimization of the category at the time apart from Demon, and he still had much more in the tank if he ever returned there. During those 6 years, Demon would become the best player in my opinion to touch Maple Treeway no glitch, which is where most of his efforts have remained after being defeated by the new 2x3 glitch strategy in late 2018 by Justin. It feels only fitting that Demon would eventually have his success returning to the glitch category of Maple Treeway, where it all started for him with a new glitch on the track, his long-term reign being taken down by a new glitch strategy, and now reclaiming the world record with another new glitch strategy. Although not new in strategies individually, collectively this is the first run of its kind for a world record here. When the semi-blind, full-speed turning and shrooming tree root clip one shroomer strategy, that's a mouthful, was implemented on Maple Treeway, it opened the possibility for a 3x3 run being done here, albeit beyond difficult. The 3x3 Benny strategy being discovered and implemented made 3x3 far more accessible, at the expense of still losing time versus doing the aforementioned tree root strategy. The time saved from this strategy on one lap alone is so broken and daunting just looking at it in a comparison. Demon's run ultimately does the Benny glitch strategy on the first 2 laps and uses this tree root strategy for lap 3. Demon shares this run was probably his best driving on top of the glitch. He just wasn't hitting low cannons like he wanted to. Despite this, the end result would be a large lead versus Dez's previous world record into the lap 2 cannon. Dez gets the low cannon lap 2 where Demon did not, and both are nearly parallel converging to this point. Lap 2 he had Maple Treeway physics where he gets random airtime and it messed up his line, and shares this is why a Maple Treeway is actually Nintendo's sleeper custom track. The incorrect line and enough airtime made him hit the tree hut. Demon's deficit from this collision would be massive when seen in the comparison. What would happen after this is incredible. A perfect triple net would lead Demon into the tree hut area lap 3, heading full blast into the optimal one shroom tree root strategy. Demon says after hitting the clip, he thinks his heart jumped into his throat and he became one with Maple Treeway. It doesn't end here, as after landing this, he gets a low cannon to boot, but not a good one, as he says it took a while to stop and his line was strange. He felt defeated due to having a run 1 week prior dying to this exact same thing, the lap 3 shroomless recovery. Demon was in his full zen mode and pulled through on the recovery in very quick succession. Demon says the absolute sensation of the weight being lifted off his shoulders was insane, and thankfully was not punished for his arrogance by going for the wheelie on the last ramp. Demon was barely too much of a right to left angle in the ending tree branch entry here. If you don't cancel your wheelie when you have this alignment, you will scoop up on the left hand side before hitting the zipper and lose your run altogether. Demon holds it all together, only to have a terrifying finish to this run, just as Dez had in his former run. You can scoop up on the right hand side of the road based on where it slopes. I have had runs like this in past years fail because of this maneuver hitting the wall a little too early before you hit the finish line. This entire lap 3 and this one has to be one of the most epic one lap performances and feats in a while for a world record run. Demon says he knew he had the world record in the bag, but was not expecting such a time cut after hitting the hut on lap 2, which blew him away. Demon highlights how the lap trigger counting for each lap can vary depending on the type of entry that you get, with this run getting a very early lap count with a small loss of momentum into the lap, but the trade-off being an easier lineup for the clip. The time loss is worth it for Demon, noting that as insane as the 27.0 lap 3 is, it is faster than it appears here, which could have easily been a high 25 if he got a later lap count according to Demon. Ultimately, the entry of each lap is a critical place for huge time cuts in future runs, with Demon explaining a fast entry that glides through the fence easily saves almost an entire second compared to one that hits the hut. It was interesting to learn that Demon's tree root clip success in this run would be one of his first overall, as Demon comments he hadn't even hit a proper tree root clip glitch in real time or in Dolphin emulator until around 1 to 2 months ago on his stream. However, in that recent time frame, Demon said he was actually practicing this clip quite a lot leading up to this run. And a week prior, he actually had a run where he hit the tree root clip on lap 3 with a similar kind of pace with no low cannons, but failed the lap 3 shroomless recovery. Demon says his success rate for the clip is around 3 a session, with each session being around 2 to 3 hours, so roughly 1 clip per hour, maybe 2 at his peak. Collectively, Demon says he has been playing literally every day, bar maybe a few in between when he would be with friends and family, for 3 months leading up to this run. In addition, Demon shares prior to this run, he had around 4 to 5 runs that finished around the 137.5 to 138.5 second range that would have beaten Dez's time, but it unfortunately didn't have a lap count on lap 3 due to being a little bit too far to the right with the Benny strategy on lap 3 for those runs. Between Demon juggling finishing up his final year in pharmacy school and other commitments, he knew the time he spent grinding this out when he had the time would pay off, and it truly did, seeing the final result here. Demon says he knew it would pay off, but had no idea it would happen this quickly. With hindsight, the run is fantastic, the time cut is insane, but we still have another 4 to 5 seconds to cut off this run according to Demon. Demon says he will push for a 129 in the future, and despite his 2 an hour clip rate at peak, he still believes a 3 for 3 is possible with the right player. Demon says he just hopes he can still commit time to the track, as he will be graduating as a pharmacist next May, and his life will surely take off for a while. Demon says he thinks his primary motivator was to hold both the glitch and no glitch world records again. He had not attempted the clip glitch besides the first 2 weeks after Justin's 2018 run at all, prior to the discovery and later use and implementation of the Benny strategy by J. Cool. It was Demon's catalyst to return to the glitch category, and for that he is very happy about Benny's strategy success. Demon concludes his feedback that he wants to make sure the irony isn't lost on everyone that his return to this category's crown was using the clip glitch. Improvise, adapt, overcome. This record was so huge to set. When I woke up the morning after Demon set this run, opening my YouTube feed after waking up, I kinda needed to rub my eyes a bit just to make sure I was actually reading the digits right. This is by far such an epic way to come back after all these years and rise to the top of the category once more after all these changes and holding the crown for both the glitch and no glitch categories of Maple Treeway once more. Truly solidifying his place as, in my view, the best player to ever touch Maple Treeway for all these years now. There is no doubt in my mind that Demon will have many more huge things in store for both categories here in the future, as he always has. Biggest of congrats to you, Demon, for all of your efforts truly paying off, and good luck on your future attempts here on the Treeway. The last two world records of June would come at the end of June, both on the same track. Huge accomplishments were made by Logan on Toad's Factory No Shortcut. On June 19th, Logan would beat Luke's previous world record by 1 millisecond, with a time of 1:49.244. 4 days later, on June 23rd, Logan had a larger cut and sets the first 149.1 on Toad's Factory No Shortcut, with a time of 1:49.197, an improvement of 47 milliseconds. Luke has had a collective reign on Toad's Factory No Shortcut for over 3.5 years from late 2017. He would push the limits to low 149.3 territory, where it all seemed wickedly strong at the time, only for Luke to come back 2 years later, beat his over 2-year-old world record with 2 improvements, and ultimately would rest on a low 149.2 on the category. Toad's Factory has historically been one of the more popular tracks to time trial, having a very competitive top 10. Several players in years past have had paces at or near world record pace, but could never finish a job in the end. At one point in the past few months, all 10 players on the worldwide top 10 were actively trying to improve their time and contending for the world record. All the streams during that time was so fun to watch. And along the way, the distance between 3rd place and 7th place was only 17 milliseconds. That is insane. Logan says he started playing Toad's Factory in 2018 when he finally broke the 151 barrier with a 150.6 back then, and says he's come a long way to ultimately get the world record here on Toad's Factory No Shortcut. Logan shares this is probably his biggest grind overall to solidify a world record before. Logan's 149.244 was solid all around for his standard, but says he could have tightened up a little more with the small things, pointing out the smaller chain wheelies at the beginning of the lap before the first turn and on the conveyor belt as well, with these small time saves meaning a lot more at this standard that Toad's Factory No Shortcut is at now. In such epic fashion, we get the 1 millisecond time cut that is required to set a new world record here. This record would set Logan's second track he has set a no glitch world record, with his first being on GCNDK Mountain back in February 2019. As we pay attention to the small details, simply getting the low jump at the end of the lap is not enough. You can get a very good low jump, and then you can get a perfect low jump. This would be the difference maker for Logan, pushing into the 149.1 territory at the very end of lap 3, comparing versus his previous world record and Luke's previous world record. This run overall was actually flirting with a 148 pace according to Logan, until the low jump on lap 2, with Logan mentioning his lap 2 would have been roughly a really low 36.3 with a good low jump, and would have marked a new best known pace for the track. The current best known splits actually give the sub with a time of 148.944 as of today's upload date. I've been around since the very beginning in 2008, and even a 151 back in the day seemed insane, and a 150 seemed another universe away. I'd wager to say if I were to ask some of the old time trialers over 10 years ago if they would have thought that this track could potentially have a 148 hit one day, I think most would say no, including myself. Who knows what the future of this track holds? I'm sure more may be in store down the line. Overall, Logan is really happy with his progress here. Logan is now the dual world record holder for Toad's Factory on both categories, as well as on GCN DK Mountain. I could be wrong, as I would probably have to dig deep into the previous year's history and individual dates of timing of records, but I think this is the first time a player has had both the glitch and no glitch world records for more than one track at once, with it being 2 tracks for Logan now. Immensely impressive feats here, Logan, and congrats on your huge efforts paying off here. July's world record activity will start on July 10th, with Flair continuing his pursuits on Rainbow Road no glitch. Flair improves his previous world record by 47 milliseconds, being the first person to break the 224.6 barrier with a time of 224.698. At the end of the month, Flair scored a second improvement of 18 milliseconds with a time of 224.680 on July 29th. Flair's 224.698 was his long-awaited goal that he was thrilled to reach, and says he thinks this is probably his favorite world record he has set. Not only did he reach one of his long-term goals, but he also set this record live 6 minutes into his stream, which is massively impressive. Setting the first 224.6 on stream in this time span felt really satisfying and almost surreal for Flair. His 224.698 would endure 2 major mistakes that would cost him a 224.4. Aside from lap 3, he thinks his run was very clean. It didn't heavily rely on zip returns and was just pure consistency for the most part. Flair missed the extra trick on the wave lap 3 and had a shaky jack strat being his only complaints. Flair shares missing the extra trick on the wave is really important, as it is a time save of around 125 milliseconds if timed correctly. This is so huge for this category and where the time is at currently, especially for what is involved here. Simply getting out one more trick on the wave versus doing a far more technically demanding strategy like optimizing the cart shroom on each lap or the jack strat on the figure 8 section. Speaking of which, Flair says even though the jack strat looks good, it was actually slower than the one on laps 1 and 2 because of the speed he had left the pole. He explains that ideally, a perfect pole bounce detaches you at 110 km per hour, and on lap 3, he detached at 100 km per hour. With these occurrences on lap 3 in mind, Flair was shocked to manage a 48.256 lap 3, with losing close to 200 milliseconds alone from those 2 mistakes. Flair's 224.680 was actually less satisfying than the 698 for him. Flair's 224.680 would become the new best known pace into lap 3 by a significant amount of almost 70 milliseconds. Mind-blowing for Flair considering how strong he thought the previous best known pace was. For Flair, this pace is virtually perfect. His only complaint would be the cannon entry on both laps. He explains some of the intricacies of this part of the track, as sometimes you are unable to take this turn tight because of QM. Even if you hold hard right, QM will send you off to the left of the track, which pretty much means you need to restart. Having a seemingly unsuspecting curve being the potential cause of resets for runs seems brutal. Thankfully for Flair's run, the QM was very minimal for laps 1 and 2. Flair shares that lap 3 was a complete disaster, being shocked to find out he improved the world record. It started out very well, with the shortcut being almost flawless, but that was the only good thing about the lap. Immediately after, Flair messed up his line into the next turn and had to take it wide, followed by missing the extra wave trick again, just like he did in his 224.698 run. Flair would also miss the pole bounce at the jack strat in the figure 8 section during lap 3. The rest of the lap was solid, as Flair shared he had almost no nerves at this point in the run from all the prior mistakes. With both of these improvements in mind, Flair said he doesn't think he is going to call it quits yet. If anything, these runs have helped him realize his potential here, and is very confident he can get a 224.4, and in time, maybe even a 224.3 as a serious realistic target to hit. Flair shares his current best splits are a 48.188, 48.099, and a 48.096 for a time of 2:24.383. Despite the 2:24.3 target being extremely close to his best splits, Flair said he wouldn't doubt he could get such a time if he gave the track another grind like he did in 2020, as he is far more consistent and understands the track much better than he did a year ago. Flair mentioned back in December with his first world records that this track wouldn't go any lower than a 2:24.6. But now here we are with almost 2 players at that level. Later on, after getting Flair's feedback only a few days ago, Kaede is on the return on Rainbow Road and actually set a 2:24.696 only a few weeks after Flair's improvement from a 698 to a 680. And in the description of his PB upload, he says, "I'm aiming for world record." I think we're going to foresee an exciting battle in the months to come if this recent surge of activity is any indication here. Big congrats to you, Flair, for getting one of your long-term goals to the 2:24.6 range here, and best of luck on improving in the following months, with Kaede being very close behind now. Next in line, we had huge records set on DS Delfino Square. On July 14th, Logan would implement the permanent meta shift for top-tier DS Delfino Square gameplay. Logan beats Luke's previous world record by 112 milliseconds with a time of 2:04.096, with being the first player to use the shroomless dock shortcut in a world record run. At the end of July, Luke adapts to the strategy and responds with an improvement of his own with a shroomless dock in his run, beating Logan's previous world record by 10 milliseconds with a time of 2:04.086 on July 28th. The shroomless dock shortcut. This has been around for quite a number of years now. It has only been implemented in tool-assisted speedruns for the sheer difficulty of pulling this off. Honestly, more for the recovery as opposed to actually getting a good enough launch to traverse the dock gap. Players have tried using Daisy Mach Bike and Baby Daisy Bullet Bike in years past to experiment, but ultimately they were too slow as viable options to improve the world record. Logan had the sudden urge to try the Delfino Square dock shortcut after seeing the recovery for the dock differently. Logan shares he doesn't think anyone else had tried it because they thought the recovery was too hard. What Logan would end up doing is, upon landing, the drift sends him left slightly and briefly. Afterward, he actually brakes temporarily. Restarting his wheelie and a nicely timed spin drift enhances a quick enough recovery to still make it into the mud alleyway for the shroom here and progress on. The innovation here is huge, with Logan deserving massive props here for using his expertise to open this track wide open. Traditionally, in tool-assisted speedruns of this track, you wouldn't brake at all upon landing. I honestly feel this was the biggest deterrent from real-time runners entertaining serious time and effort to do this in real time. Initially, I wouldn't think that outright braking during this sequence for a period of time would still make it an actual time save. Stack that on top of having to purposely do a suboptimal shroom because of the angle you enter here. You have to briefly stall your mushroom by braking speed in the mud slightly to make sure you actually drift and shroom at a tight enough angle here as to not hit the left side of the alleyway wall. As we can clearly see upon the Ghost comparisons, all these modifications still allows this to save a significant amount of time per one lap alone. Logan would end up playing this for 2 weeks and actually got the world record using this new strategy twice. Logan had a dead 1-for-3 run and would end up going for it a second time on lap 3, successfully pulling it off. Logan would be a far ways away from Luke's former record to off-screening Luke's record after landing the dock lap 3, really showcasing how much this truly saves. Logan said he is not a big fan of the chain wheelies in this category, as most of his runs would end to the chain wheelies. He wants to eventually get a 3-for-3 run and maybe a 202 in the future, though knows it would be really tough to get 3 docks in a run alongside perfect chain wheelies, but he wouldn't rule it out. Absolute biggest of props and congrats to Logan for innovating once more and pushing the limits of what players can do here humanly and changing the standard. Best of luck when you decide to return here to get closer to your goals. Luke shares he initially tried to improve his previous 204.208 dockless world record without the dock, and while he had a few strong paces, he wasn't able to improve. When Logan improved with the dock, Luke tried the dock a few times with very little success. Luke would then revert back to no dock attempts until a few players motivated him to try the dock again. Giving it another go, after a couple of days' time, he made his first dock on July 17th, slowly building up consistency with it over time. At his best during his sessions, he said he was making the dock around 10 to 15 times, but most times was a bit less than that frequency. I was very surprised at how quickly Luke adapted to this due to the controller he uses. When you shake the Wiimote for a wheelie, it actually registers several frames of inputs, which can be seen on input viewer recorded runs for Wiimote nunchuck runs. The shroomless dock really banks on utilizing as much of your main turbo boost into the wheelie as possible to surpass the dock gap, but not doing it too late as to get a trick which you don't want, as you can't make the shroomless dock gap that way. Luke would land a big lap 1 of 41.244 using the shroomless dock on lap 1 versus Logan's previous world record. Luke would end up only doing the dock on lap 1 for this run, and the comparison between Logan and Luke's record is interesting to watch. Logan would close the entire gap and then some with his dock on lap 3 and was ahead of Luke's run, but at the end of the race, Luke would do enough to claw back the gap and set his new world record with the dock. Huge props to you, Luke, for adapting so quickly to the change here and not letting the controller limitation get in the way. More exciting activity happened here in August, which I look forward to discussing in the August review video. Best of luck to you, Luke, on your future efforts here on Delfino Square. We end July's world record activity with multiple world records set on SNES Ghost Valley 2 glitch category. On July 16th, Vincent N sets his first Mario Kart Wii world record, beating Logan's previous world record by 160 milliseconds with a time of 55.78. 3 days later would mark the beginning of a world record spree by Logan. Logan would set 3 straight world records 3 days in a row in his time zone. It would start out with a 53.84, reclaiming the world record from Vincent by 194 milliseconds. The following day, Logan had a smaller improvement of 22 milliseconds with a time of 53.62. And on the third day, Logan had an immense jump of 370 milliseconds and jumps directly to the first 49-second time on SNES Ghost Valley 2 with a time of 49.992. After discussing Vincent's run, we're going to go into Vince's journey as to how he arrived to this very run. Executing the task glitch on lap 1 and seeing the 13.6 lap 1 split, Vincent knew this was the opportunity he so desperately longed for. He acknowledges the landing recovery from the clip was pretty wide and slow, showing room for improvement. Vincent says he was so nervous during the run, with driving of laps 2 and 3 clearly showing this. The shroomless cut lap 2 was extremely scary, getting more air than he wanted, which usually ends up bouncing and falling into the abyss. He managed to clear the shortcut miraculously, afterward noting his soft drifts were extremely shaky during the last few turns, rocking back and forth on the control stick. He was still scared of the last turns of each lap, as with a previous 13.6 lap 1 fail, falling short with hitting the wall on the second to last turn lap 2 due to being too tight. His nerves carried into lap 3 and was surprised to keep the run alive. The shroomless shortcut was much better on lap 3 for Vincent, but the driving was still shaky during the end. When Vincent cleared the last turn and got the last main turbo out, he knew it was the world record. He immediately jumped out of his chair, completing the run, and rejoiced in finally achieving his long-awaited goal. Vincent's journey to his first world record was really interesting to learn. Mario Kart Wii was the first game he ever got into, always having a passion for time trials, SNES Ghost Valley 2 in particular. He grew out of the game and wouldn't touch the console for years. Eventually, he came back to the game around summer 2018, joined Twitch, and chose to follow the game Mario Kart Wii itself as a category, which you can do on Twitch. He believes the first stream he watched was GCM Peach Beach world record attempts by Guy. This stream convinced him to get out the Wii and start playing again, shouting out Guy for motivating him to get back into the game. He joined the players page and grew addicted to the average finish system of ranking players based on the average sum of all their rankings on all tracks. It motivated him to play all the tracks and climb the rankings to 8th overall at peak in 2020, setting some notable times along the way, getting his first worldwide top 10 times on this track, Maple Treeway Glitch, and Toad's Factory Shortcut. He eventually returned to Ghost Valley 2, having help from Justin to understand how the checkpoints work for the task glitch, as he made a failed no glitch attempt with the second clip alone as a result, with Justin already getting a 51.7 time with this strategy. Logan eventually got the first world record here with the task clip back in October of 2020, the record Vincent's run beat during July. Vincent was excited to see this being done and a run being viable for a 3-lap run, giving it a small push, but the task seemed too daunting to pull off. Vincent jumped in on the Maple Treeway craze during the first half of this year, trying to push for his first world record. He had failed a run that was at least half a second ahead of J. Cool's 1:44.97 after the lap 3 cannon, but failed the shroomless recovery and was devastated. After improvements in the 139 territory and Demon's massive 135 that we reviewed earlier in this video, Vincent decided to give up with his dream of a world record seeming out of reach. Vincent played Ghost Valley 2 glitch on and off and managed to get the fast lap world record in February 2021, which was exhilarating for him, but shares that the fast lap world records are considerably less significant than 3-lap world records, and still dreamed of getting a 3-lap world record on this track. His first completion here would be a 51.990 with the task glitch, and chopped it down to a 51.017 at the beginning of July on July 4th, less than 2 weeks before his world record run. This run was racing against Logan's world record and was actually leading into lap 2, but had a poor alignment into the lap, losing world record chance at the time. Sharing he doesn't normally race Ghost, so the Ghost partially blocked his view and prevented him from driving with confidence. The day before his world record, he had multiple fails here, including a 55.27 run that was barely too far right after the second clip and didn't get a lap count after lap 1. At this time, Vincent says Logan started to play this track in an attempt to implement a no-stop task glitch, furthering Vincent's motivation to get a world record run as quickly as he could while he still had the chance. He didn't want Maple Treeway glitch to happen all over again and wanted to get the job done as quickly as possible. And on July 16th, he finally did it. Vincent said he is quote-unquote feeling better than I ever felt before today, with regards to his progress in the game, sharing it is still unreal to him that he achieved such a feat. I think we all love a great backstory and journey to attaining one's goal, and this was an interesting and satisfying journey to learn about, with accomplishing an overall goal Vincent had for so long now. Vincent shares soon after Logan reclaimed the world record, he kept playing the category for the no-stop task glitch and successfully made it with a huge 13.022 lap 1, with this lap still being the current best known split of lap 1. This lap is absolutely massive in comparison to the previous world records, and this was certainly on huge pace if he was able to lock down a solid lap 2 and 3 in the run. Unfortunately, the run would fail in the driving lap 2, watching it in the Ghost comparisons. Vincent shares he is currently back at school now and cannot play nearly as much as he did in the summer, but maybe he will find a way to finally get a no-stop task glitch and get around a 49.7 time as a goal. As I mentioned at times in this video series, there will always be much more behind simply a record with a time next to it. All the effort, sacrifice, learning, and ultimately persevering. Vince's journey certainly depicts all of those things, and I'm very happy for you, as many of us are, to finally pull through on your ultimate goal. Biggest of congratulations to you, Vincent, and best of luck for your future endeavors in the game, whether it be here or any other track. Logan's comments and feedback for his activity here in July will be centered around the quick succession of his improvements in the month. Logan's tear of 3 world records in 3 days for his time zone was absolutely massive for him, probably being the craziest stretch he has ever had. Logan said he was actually able to get the glitch and finish runs, sharing this track is one of those tracks where if things go right, it's contagious. The majority of Logan's time save that would catapult him directly to the 49-second time from a mid 50.3 was all from lap 1, pulling off a no-stop task glitch. Just watching the sheer speed of how quickly he does this after turning around instantaneously saving such a significant amount of time is insane, just as we watched with Vincent's 13.022 lap 1 fail as well. It is pretty funny seeing how the last sub we saw here with the first 50-second run by Leaf was a massive improvement of over 400 milliseconds, and the first 49-second run by Logan is improving the run by almost 400 milliseconds with a massive jump. Logan comments he plans on going for a mid 49-second time here eventually in the future. Logan shares a massive goal he is working towards for the rest of 2021. He is aiming to go for 12 for 12 months of setting at least one world record in a year, currently sitting at 8 out of 12, as we will come to see more world record activity from Logan in August's review video. Logan says he would really like to be the first person to do that in Mario Kart Wii time trials. And actually looking at the stats, Logan is 8 for 12 months with at least one world record during 2021 so far. However, he is on a cumulative 11-month streak of having at least one world record from October 2020 to August 2021. I looked deeper into some of the other players' stats, and I think the only other player that rivals this activity is Fox, with Fox's peak being at 11 months in a row, setting at least one world record, from December 2014 to October 2015. With having 10 months in a row of at least one world record during the 2015 year of activity. Logan is the man for the job to get it done with such a massive goal. Best of luck on reaching that milestone, Logan, and absolute biggest props for your dominating world record spree on Ghost Valley 2 and securing such a massive sub on Ghost Valley 2, and overall setting 6 world records in these past 2 months of review. And with that, the 6th and 7th months of 2021 Mario Kart Wii time trials is in the books. We had 62 world records in the first 7 months of 2021. And I must say, especially these past few months, there have been some massive feats accomplished, from new strategies being implemented to some very strong and longer standing world records being taken down. As always, I hope you all continue to enjoy the series, highlighting and celebrating our community's greatest accomplishments. I will see you all very soon to review the world record activity for August 2021. Take care.